Hi, I'm Shane Smith, and we're here in the Vice offices in Brooklyn, New York. For our first story this week, we go to Arizona and Utah. When Warren Jeffs was arrested and sent away for life, most of us assumed that the story would end there. Now, 5 years after his conviction for having sex with 12 and 15-year-old brides, reports have surfaced that Jeffs is still ruling his polygamous community. He's just doing it from prison. So he sent Ryan to the heart of polygamy country to see what happens when a lunatic runs an entire town from his jail cell.
And in your teenage years, you will be tested. Are you listening to the Gentile music? Then you don't have the Spirit of God. Are you watching the Gentile movies? How can you be trusted with a family?
Warren Jeffs is the pedophile, polygamous leader of the FLDS, the Fundamentalist Latter-day Saints, a radical offshoot of Mormonism. Jeffs is currently serving a 130-year jail sentence for his 2011 conviction of child sex and bigamy charges, including the sexual assault of his 12 and 15-year-old brides.
You know, whether it's directly or indirectly, they're still getting all their marching orders from Warren Jeffs in Texas prison.
Jeffs has banned bicycles, ordered all children's toys to be destroyed, and recently made yet another strange declaration.
It is polygamy gone berserk. Only 15 men will be allowed to father children with the thousands of eligible FLDS women.
As the prophet, he controls everything: jobs, money, property, and most importantly, who his followers can marry. Because the number of wives a man has is the most crucial element of the fundamentalist Mormons. In fact, Jeffs himself is thought to have up to 78 wives. Having multiple wives is so important that only higher-ranking elders are allowed to start families. And that leaves the younger men in the community with a problem: grade school math.
In order to practice polygamy, you have a guy with 50 wives. 49 guys have got to go somewhere.
Roman was only 18 when he was exiled from the church.
They want to get him out, so they kick him out for absolutely any reason. You know, you watch a movie, you talk to a girl, you listen to music, they kick you out. The nearest cities is where they go to: St. George, Salt Lake. Lately, they've been going up to the oil refineries in North Dakota because the money's good up there and they don't have to have an education. Because most of them don't have even an 8th grade education.
So there's a whole community of ex-FLDS kids that live here in Salt Lake now. They hang out together all the time. Some of them are getting together for some pizza and beer, and they invited us to join.
I seriously didn't till 6 months after I left.
You wanna know what's funny?
How old were you?
17.
How did you stay with?
I peed out of it, that's all I knew.
I started when I was 11. I felt so guilty. That's the worst part.
When you grow up in the vacuum of the FLDS, things that most of us think of as common knowledge, like paying bills, using the internet, or even wearing bathing suits, are completely alien to them. These kids are shockingly unprepared for the most mundane of tasks in everyday life.
My dad, he kept on telling me, if you don't stop texting or don't stop get buying internet for your phone, you're gonna have to be kicked out of the house. I called up Sam, my older brother, and he came and picked me up that night.
What was that first night like when you decided to call your brother?
I don't know where to go, how to start. What do I do?
How long does that last? How long does it take
It took me, I'm gonna say, 2.5, 3 years.
to feel just comfortable here?
Wayne and Joe offered to show us around their hometown of Colorado City.
You really can't explain the way that you feel when the first day you leave. There's no words to describe the feeling. You're scared, you're terrified, but you're excited all at the same time. To them, they think that we're the worst people. You're brainwashed, I'm better than you.
Wayne and Joe told us about some kids who'd been thrown out, just like them. But instead of running away as far as they could, they stayed in Colorado City, a few blocks from the families that now refuse to acknowledge them.
You know what happens when you grow up with like 30 brothers? You play really aggressive sports.
What's up? Oh. Nice.
So these kids live in what they call butt huts, small trailers that house a bunch of kids who are totally unequipped to deal with everyday life. Leroy lives just down the street from the family that now won't even speak to him.
It hurts a lot, seeing families torn, and there's nothing I can do about it but carry on with my life.
Leroy was just 15 when he was thrown out of the church and his family.
This is the house that I was raised in. It's a 3-story house. We had a mother on each floor. So we had a family of about 30 people. I'd been talking to girls and wearing what I wanted and stuff, and that's against the religion, you know. So I came home from work, and Father came up to me and said, Bishop called, and he wants you to get your things and leave. I said, okay, tonight, like it's already 6, 7 in the afternoon. He's like, yeah. So that's what I did. I kind of felt like I died. So I wondered how could my parents just let me go into a world that they don't even know.
So this kid, who's barely been to school, has never traveled more than a few miles from his home, and has been taught since birth that outsiders are pure evil, is basically given 20 minutes to pack and told to get out forever.
On their birthdays, I do my best to call them, and sometimes I get rejected and told to never call again, but I'm going to keep it up. Even if they've done their best to forget me, I'm not forgetting them.
During our conversation with Leroy, we couldn't help but notice we were being followed.
You guys know the story on God Squad, don't you? Once Gentiles are in town, people start following them around for hours and make sure that you're not going to do anything that's going to hurt the community.
This guy's been staring us down good.
I know, he's part security.
Even after being out of the church for years, these kids are still afraid of church security. The longer we stayed there, a bunch of things that seemed kind of quiet and quaint when we first arrived started feeling really creepy. A whole bunch of people turning their backs, running inside, and circling around in pickup trucks.
It's Little House on the Prairie mixed with Children of the Corn, all being run by a convicted pedophile from a jail cell states away.
My honest opinion is I don't think Warren's as bad as he's put out to be, honestly. I'm grateful that I was raised the way I am, and he hasn't done anything to my family or me to hurt me.
But he took your family from you.
Yeah, but it was because that's part of the religion. I mean, what's a religion if it doesn't have standards? Everybody that's been raised in this religion knows that the outside world is a huge, bad, mixed up place.
We kept asking ourselves, how could this possibly happen in America?
Is the FLDS a cult?
Yes. In my mind, it's a cult.
He could seriously tell one of his loyal followers go kill somebody and then go do it thinking it was the right thing to do.
The problem is, we're not just talking about one person here. We're talking about a town full of brainwashed followers.
You know, someone such as Warren Jeffs that has control over the community, you have to take very seriously, and I find he's very dangerous because you never know what kind of edict he could come up with out of prison.
And with Warren's jail cell orders getting stranger and stranger, it may just turn out that these young men with no families and grim prospects are far better off in exile.